You've cried by yourself, maybe in a car, maybe in a bathroom. Maybe you waited until everyone was asleep and then let it happen in the dark where nobody could find you. That felt normal to you. It isn't. Not historically, not biologically. Solitary grief is one of the strangest things a human being can do. And for almost all of our existence as a species, it simply didn't happen. Not because ancient humans were emotionally different, because being alone while distressed was, to your nervous system, indistinguishable from dying. The question isn't why they cried together. The question is when we decided crying alone was fine, and what it cost us. For most of human history, you were never truly alone. The group was the unit of survival. You woke in contact with other bodies. You ate with them. You worked with them. And when something broke inside you, grief, fear, loss, the distress signal you sent was not private. It was social. It was loud. And it was answered. This wasn't sentiment. It was architecture. In 2016, researchers at the University of Amsterdam, led by Ari Kruglanski, published a series of studies on what they called social pain regulation. Their finding was blunt. Emotional pain processed in isolation activates threat circuitry in the brain at significantly higher intensity than the same pain processed in the presence of others. The nervous system doesn't distinguish between physical danger and emotional distress. Both read as emergencies. And for both, the presence of other humans is registered as active protection. You are not calmed by company because it feels nice. You are calmed because your brain genuinely interprets another body nearby as evidence that the threat has not yet killed you, which means the inverse is also true. Crying alone doesn't just feel harder, it is harder. Your threat systems have no signal to downregulate. There is no social evidence that you are safe. The body stays in the emergency it started in, processing the same distress on a loop, waiting for a response that isn't coming. Now consider how often, across the last few thousand years, that became the default. The anthropologist Barbara King spent years studying grief across species, in elephants, in great apes, in early human burial sites. What she found was consistent. Grief in highly social species is almost always communal, not performed, not ceremonial. Communal in a functional sense. The group physically clusters, vocalizes, makes contact. In some observed cases, members who had no direct relationship with the dead individual still stayed close to those who did. The presence was the point, not the words, not the ritual, the proximity. Early human burial sites support this. Many of the oldest graves we found, including those at Skhul and Qafzeh in Israel, dating back roughly 100,000 years, show evidence of deliberate communal placement. Objects placed with the dead, bodies positioned with care. The archaeology suggests that grief was organized, shared, not something that happened to one person in a room. The modern arrangement, the private funeral, the grief processed behind closed doors, the cultural pressure to recover quickly and quietly, is roughly 200 years old, industrial, Protestant in much of the West, a product of urbanization and the collapse of extended social networks into nuclear units. We built cities and lost the group. We built walls and called it privacy. And here's what's strange. Neuroscience keeps confirming what we lost. Studies on prolonged grief disorder consistently show that social isolation during acute grief is among the strongest predictors of long-term psychological damage. Not the severity of the loss, not the circumstances of it, the isolation afterward. Your nervous system is still waiting for the group to come. It was designed in an era when they always did. So think about the last time you cried alone, in a car, in a bathroom, in the dark. You weren't being strong. You weren't being private. You were a social animal in a survival emergency, sending a distress signal into an empty room, waiting for a response your ancestors would have received within seconds. The room stayed quiet, and some part of you is still waiting.